Right, we're recording, so I'm just going to I'll look away so I know when to come back.
Yeah.
And then we'll start. So the Hennessy meeting, Alan Mackay, super stable fantasy thingy.
Yeah, I'll just briefly go over it. I'll just be a quick.
That's right. It's always just the first bit because I just want to some sort of an introduction.
Yeah.
We'll be there. It's fine. Right. Hello and welcome to the third week of weekend previews. I'm joined by Alan Mackay, who runs the Fantasy Super Stable. How are you doing, Alan? You okay?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to get through this weekend. We've got some cracking action, I think.
Proper racing on again this week. It's heating up. Every week gets better and better, and there's always something to look forward to at the weekend. It just builds and builds. It's brilliant. I love it.
Fantastic. So just before we do get into the racing, obviously I've shared your website that you do, the Fantasy Super Stable thing. Have you got anything you would like to plug about that for now?
Check it out. Superstable.co.uk. As you said, the links are up. Stick the link on the bottom of this or something. You can play all season long, pick a stable of horses. Every week you get transfers, so you can bring in new horses, get out the ones that have just ran, bring in some horses that would be running this week, keep your stable current, so that's playing the season game. Or every Saturday, I have a weekly league, so I open at the Friday night, covers the ITV racing on a Saturday, and that's just every week. New winner each week. Got Hacked Up Racing are on board. They give us a mug to give away each week to the winner. So I mean, that's good fun. That's a quick one. If you don't want to play all season long, you can just come in every Saturday, play it. Also be doing Cheltmental Festival specials, one for Christmas, over Christmas period, Dublin Racing Festivals, things like that. So there's always something going on. So if you want to play the long game, go for it. If you want to play weekly, and then at the end of it, all the weekly winners and the season-long winner, they all go into a pot, and they're all drawn a horse running in the Grand National, like a sweepstake, and whoever comes out on top wins a share in the owners group. Will get a share in an owners group racehorse for them for a season. So, it's not like life-changing money, but it's good fun. It's every week. You don't even have to commit, and it's 100% free. 100% free, 1,000% fun.
Brilliant. Yeah, so this is the first season I've got involved with it, to be honest. I did know about it last year, just busy with everything else. But it is so easy to set up. You've put a great website together. There's video clips on there and the replays and all those sort of things on there. It is really
I'm always updating it as well. I mean, I've never done this before. Me and my friend played it. I broke my arm. He unfortunately had a brain tumour and he was off. So the two of us were off racing fans, national hunt. So we just set it up with us. Unfortunately, he passed away. So I had nobody to play it with. So I thought, you know what? Boom, let's get out. So I've never done this before, so I'm learning as I go. Yeah. There's one thing you might go on the website and think, Jesus, how do you do this? But then I'll have addressed it the next time. So it's always, I'm trying to keep it as idiot-proof, but it's been made by an idiot. So,
well, I think you've done a cracking job, mate, because it looks really professional. The way you set everything up, there's no lag. You never get any problems with anything. Like it's all been set up fairly self-explanatory as well. Yeah. So I'll keep sharing that each week anyway. And
brilliant. Thank you.
Boom. So we'll get into the racing action. The first thing I will have to ask though is because we had some decent racing last weekend, I'd like a quick section on Altior, surname. We'll have to mention him as well, and then maybe lost in translation on that Bristol to my race.
Well, geez, that lost in translation can jump, can he? He just jumps for fun. That horse. I'll tell you, that is a proper horse.
Yeah,
that is a proper racehorse. And I think Bristol to made a couple of mistakes down the back. To be honest, I don't think I made any difference.
No.
And he'll just be able to latch onto horses. He'll go quicker pace. So if he's the one, isn't he? He's the one.
Yeah,
he's the one. And we need one in this country. Obviously, you've got Kenboy and all that, and Ireland are all over us novice chases. But yeah, he's our hope over here, I think, this season.
Yeah, I think so. And because obviously he's done it at Cheltenham, he's run well around Sandown. He's obviously gone and won at Haydock. We'll see what he does at Kempton in the King George. But we've got a few horses that are pretty good and sort of been classed as one-trick ponies. Surname would be typically that, but in beating Altior, I really did think that Altior would win. I thought Altior was probably underrated. I didn't think Surname was overrated. I just thought he was probably where he should be, but I was a bit disappointed about Altior really because he could never get past him. What did you make of it?
Everything. That was probably the hardest race for him to come back and to try it with a horse that we knew Surname would put. We all know he'll go a bit further.
Yeah.
The style he runs, and he was going away again. He goes away at the end of all his races.
Yeah.
To put Altior first, they could have maybe found an easier. I don't know where it would have been, but that was a difficult one. A tested horse. The ground was a bog. It wasn't great. I wouldn't give up on him, but the question is, what do they? I mean, I love Altior, but what do they do? Because they've obviously thought, right, all these up and coming kids are coming up the 2 mile. It was harder for him last season at times. I don't think you'll see him over 3 miles again, or go up to 3 miles. So I don't think he'll go to King George. So what do they do with him?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
They're going to have to drop back. They're going to have to drop back and prove it. They're going to have to drop back and prove themselves. Nobody's really doubting them, but why were they wanting to step him up?
Yeah, and it is that tricky thing, almost a bit of a peer pressure thing, wasn't it? Where everyone was saying, "Oh, he's done it at 2 miles. Let's try him up there." And I think when you touched on the ground at Ascot as well, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't the big clash and there wasn't the spectators and all the viewers, all that sort of stuff, I'm pretty sure Nicky Henderson wouldn't have run him in that sort of ground if he'd had the choice. But the thing was, any other horse he could have faced in training and he would have won over 2 mile fine. Any other horse, it just shows how good Surname was.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the King
to
George
put him up against a battle-hardened with that. To put him a battle-hardened horse like Surname as well. It was everything that could have kind of went against him on the day.
Yeah.
Not to say that he couldn't do it. He couldn't come back and do it again. But I think 3 mile King George against horses that are going to go even further, and they say that's it's one of the most tested 3 miles in the King George because they go so quick. So
yeah.
That's out the window, I would have said now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Lots of people will talk about Kempton being a speed track, saying it's flat, all those sort of things. So they say it might be an easy 3 miles to get, but I'm with you because they go so quick.
Yeah,
you found out in the race, and we do see the Dower stayers maybe outpaced in there as well. So that should.
Obviously, remember John Frankham saying it. He also said you have to get further than 3 miles to win a King George.
Yeah. And that's the thing with him. But I think they probably will end up going there. There's a chance, obviously.
Yeah,
because the Desert Orchid Chase is the day after. That's a Kempton. So he just walk that. Then he could go Game Spirit. Then he could go Champion Chase again. But I just think because Nicky Henderson said that training him for going up in Trip, he can't do anything different with him because he's just such a quick horse. He hasn't done anything different training wise. I don't think he will do anything different towards the King George. I reckon they're just thinking he's lost his status now as unbeaten. Let him have a crack in the King George, see what it does with him, and then after that, they can go back and run in the Champion Chase. Because I think that's where he will end up. But it's just the fact now, because he hasn't got the sequence, all those sort of things, going back and winning a game, the Desert Orchid Chase, just doesn't seem as attractive anymore.
Yeah, the issue with that is if he goes and gets beat, the horse that doesn't get beat, and he goes and gets beat up in the King George, he won't come second. And then you're sending a horse unless they get him in somewhere again before Cheltenham. Do you know what I mean? His confidence, and he's got these other kids coming at him. I think he'll go Desert Orchid Chase myself. And because they'll want the confidence back in him to walk it. He's never had a horse in front of him, so at the end of the race. So I think they'll go Desert Orchid, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I think it is a hard one because obviously, like I say, if it was any other horse than Surname, he probably would have won on Saturday, and then we'd be saying, it's a big starting point for the King George. I think the ground will be a key thing. If it's slow, then he won't go in that race, but I don't think he's really got anything to prove, to be honest. I'd be more impressed if they just drew up stumps now and just said, right, let's go back to 2 miles. But because Surname is the highest rated horse in training, or the British horse anyway, it wasn't a disgrace for Al to how close he did get. So that's why I can see where they're probably in like a bit of a quandary with him. But I'll be at Kempton on Boxing Day, so I'd like to see him run in there just for the sake of it, just to see what he can do. But I'm the same with you. I think he'll get beat up in a King George. I think you could see something like a Lost in Translation just hanking alongside him.
It's just hard one that's been winning and winning. A sequence like that for him to then get knocked and then get knocked even worse the next time, and then to ask him to come back. And as I say, there's obviously a reason that we're looking at stepping him up as well. So
Yeah,
it's interesting. But he doesn't know any. Do you know what I mean? You're right. He doesn't have to prove himself at all. So, but he's with the right man that will. He's with the right man to make the choice where he goes. We've seen him do it in attacks or whatnot. So.
Absolutely.
Well, that was brief, wasn't it?
I know. Yeah, we've done 10 minutes worth, and we haven't even talked about the weekend. But this weekend's going to come thick and fast. There's so much decent action. I'm at Newbury for both days, the Friday and the Saturday, so I reckon that's the best place to start off. Newbury on the Friday. There's a host full of really decent entries in the UK this weekend, and then there's loads in Ireland as well. I've put lists up on the page. I don't know where some of these are going to go because lots of them are doubly entered. But for the first race at Newbury, we've got a National Hunt Maiden Hurdle. So that's a 2-miler. There's a few interesting ones in here. So Chantry House of Nicky Henderson, decent in his point and then was decent in a bumper. Coconut Splash that I put up, he was 14-1. He's been beaten the shortest nose in a photo finish. He comes in here in decent form, and I think he would have improved for that run. King Roland, obviously a decent bumper horse for Harry Fry. The Silks of Neon Wolf, he ran at the same track as Neon Wolf did before, although it wasn't the same bumper. So he's probably got to prove he's not so much a mudlark, but he's on my 20 to follow, and he's an interesting horse. That's just the first one. There's Son of Camus in there as well for Nicky Henderson. So I put him up for the Newbury bumper when he won. So there's a few interesting ones in the maiden hurdle to begin with. There's a good few handicaps in here. The second race, the 12:45, which is a handicap chase. Sully Dock AA is with Anthony Honeyball. It's a 5-year-old JP McManus horse. I put a mention in for him to see how he ran at Ascot. I thought he travelled like a dream. I actually thought he was going to come into the race, and I thought he was going to win. Didn't really give him a hard time with it. They dropped him back into it. This horse will win a race, and it will win a race soon. So I don't know whether it's going to run on Friday. There's been little bits of money for it. It's about 12-1 with Sky Bet, but he'd be one I'd be semi-interested in. And then there's it's a novice hurdle, the third race, rather than a maiden hurdle. So there's Brewers Project for Paul Nichols, ex-pointer with a long layoff. Severano for Oliver Sherwood, had a big reputation and finally got off the mark. But it's Nicky Henderson's horse. It sure is the one that I'm really interested in. His point form looks good, and all the vibes from the stable seem to be saying that he looks like the one to be on. There's a couple of other better races that are coming up later. So we've got the Berkshire Novices Chase, a Grade 2, and then we've got Paisley Park at the long distance hurdle. But is there any other races before we go on to them, Alan, that you're interested in?
No, we're all right so far.
Superb. So in the Berkshire Novices Chase, which is a Grade 2, I'll just quickly give a mention about Champ, and then I'll let you see if you can talk me out of him. Because Champ's going to come here. They talked about it, that he's not going to go for the Felton or the Calto Star Novices Chase at Kempton. He's going to run in this particular race, and then he's going to run in the Dipper at Cheltenham. I like the approach. They proved he can stay 3 miles when he ran at Aintree over hurdles. This is a nice steady approach for a chaser. He looked like he'd benefit so much for the run last time at Newbury. Denman's won this race. There's loads of everyone. Bobsworth won it with Nicky Henderson before. So it's not particularly a race where you're looking at it thinking, oh, he's running at 2.5, he's going to end up in a JLT. He will end up in an RSA. I'm not sure who's going to reoppose. Beekstown's in here again and Dashwood Rasher. I think the latter probably will. Blackhawk obviously ran well first time out this season, but I think Champ's going to, well, I think he's about 6-4. I think he's going to absolutely bolt up in this. And I like the horse. See anything else.
Just I just like the horses. As you see, you don't know what's reserve tanks in there. There's nothing really that you would worry about, is there?
No, and a few of them, the other entries have run recently. So Jarvis Plate's run recently. Hold the Note ran the other day. Master Tommy Tucker's run recently. So we might get Vision to Flow in there, and he was an interesting one that I thought could make into a nice chaser, but that never really came about. And obviously Black Hawk was quite good on his comeback run. I think he is definitely going to run it, so there's been bits of money for him. But that'll be him and Samcro the same weekend, the 2 horses from a couple of years ago, rolling back the years. But what do you think of Champ then? And potentially, because I think he looks like he's a nice RSA type.
Yeah.
They're going to just keep him to 2.5 miles. What does that sort of make you feel like?
Definitely. Get that. I like him. He's tough. He gets the job done. He's not. Do you know what I mean? He's not flash.
Yeah.
I like horses like that. They just keep giving and giving, and he's I agree with that. Everything they're doing the right thing with him. There's nowhere else really they could. They're not going to drop him to 2 miles, are they?
No. And obviously,
there's no point going up.
Yeah, because I think Sorry, mate. There's a few that have gone in the dipper that have, like Black Lions running there and went and won an RSA. Whisper was in there. There's other horses that have run that sort of line, but that he needs to look around Cheltenham at the fences before he goes to the festival. I'd have thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a hack up.
He's on the right road. He's on the right road, if you know what I mean. They're going the right way with him. So.
Absolutely, and I was pretty impressed with his chase debut at Newbury. To be honest, I know there was I don't understand what the mixed reviews were. There was loads of people that were telling me that he couldn't jump very well, whereas I had it marked down.
You were telling me though. You were messaging me that morning saying, I was saying I said the same thing to you, that I like the horse. So I like the way he likes it. He'll run at a few fences.
Yeah.
Well, so I remember you texted that morning. So you were kind of half expecting him to do the same thing, but no, I think he's just he's one of kind of you latch onto him and you want him, you follow him. The name, everything about him. Do you know what I mean? So
that's it. Yeah, and I like all that sort of stuff, the story and stuff behind him. And I was a bit cautious on his chase debut whether he was going to maybe not respect the fences, but he honestly he looked really good.
Right, he did, and he pinged a few of them as well. So
So he's a banker on the Friday. Then we've made everyone a few quid on that race. Then they can all roll it up on Paisley Park in the long distance hurdle. Stone clear of anything else? Is there anything else that's even worth talking about?
I mean, listen, he did it. If the cap fit obviously isn't going, the World's End. I used to like that horse. The World's End. Harry, will he go?
I think he will. He had a racecourse gallop a couple of weeks ago, and I think they swerved the Coral Hurdle at Ascot last week. So if the cap fits could go there, and Harry would come here. So he's a slightly interesting one in there. He's obviously
7-year-old
younger, but it's Paisley Park's just a stone clear on the ratings. I think the one that would be interesting is Thistlecrat's going to run here, so he wouldn't be.
Oh yeah, they were talking about that the weekend. Yeah,
and because it's a Grade 2 as well, he actually gets £6 from Paisley Park. So on official figures, he would be £4 well in against Paisley Park. But
he ran a cracker in the King George last year.
Yeah.
He's still got it, but he's not got it all. But he's still he's capable.
Yeah. So maybe he's the one that could potentially be a fly in the ointment, I suppose. And this is when you mentioned the King George. This is a warm-up race. They're going to go for another go at the King George.
So he's not going to be fired up, ready to go for this.
No. So Paisley Park's going to hack up in that. So we've got the double up for Friday. We've gone through that fairly quickly. It will just be
the other one. Do you want to have a quick look at this 150 because we've got Kalashnikov's in there.
Oh yeah.
Glen Forza's in there. There's a few in there.
But I do like a handicap every now and again. It tends to be horses that I've got a little bit of an eye on.
I'm not big on handicappers, but handicaps myself. I just think these are, do you know what I mean? These were horses these are above average.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
When he won the Betfair Hurdle around Newbury, and I backed him that day, and the ground was so horrible. It's a long run in at Newbury on the straight. When they were going around the bend, Jack Queensland was riding him, and I was cursing. I thought, why have I stuck so much money on this? Well, I was in overhand. I got in too deep in it, which is a rookie thing to do. But he just kept staying on, and then I still didn't think he was ever going to get there. But he powered up like a good thing, didn't he? Ran well in the Supreme Hurdle. He ran okay in the old Roan Chase. I did think he'd win that, but he's been there or there.
That Forest Beyond's not. Do you know what I mean? He's a good. Forest Beyond's no slut. He's a good horse. So. Yeah.
And I think if you consider everything that he's done. I do think Dashwood Rash is going to go in the novices chase because he'd be getting £10 from him in here. But I do think Kalashnikov 155 doesn't look like it's a mark that's beyond him, so you can see why he's probably favourite.
Yeah, either that Glen Forza stuffed him last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
And round Sandown.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
He was clear,
didn't he?
Yeah.
But that's the thing now, because now Amy Murphy's finally wised up that he needs a trip now. 2.5 miles will suit him down to the ground. He likes it around Newbury. I reckon he could be a reasonable one. Glen Forza for Mick Shannon will be interesting, but I'd wonder whether he's going to need the run potentially. And then a little bit further down the line, there isn't really anything that would jump out. Maybe go long for Evan Williams. He seems to be having a decent run at the minute.
Got a gold presence in there.
Yeah.
Came out. It's a long run. 216 days. I would. Yeah, because Kalashnikov has the run, so he'll have the fitness edge, won't he? So.
Boom. We've got the treble up.
Well, yeah.
So then, if we'll move on to the weekend, then the only thing to touch on with the stuff that we looked at on Friday, that Sully Dock AA that I did mention has been backed a little bit. That's gone down to single figures now. I don't know whether it's definitely going to run or not, but that is definitely worth a second look in that handicap. We've obviously mentioned Kalashnikov in there, 7-2-ish. I think he is. I think that's fair. 6-4 champion the Labrooks and obviously Chase. That looks decent. Downtown Getaway for Nicky Henderson's entered in a couple of handicaps over the weekend. Wherever he goes, he'd be interesting. Paisley Park will win the long distance hurdle. And then we're going to move on to the Saturday stuff. So Buveur D'air, nothing can beat him either, can it?
I think Lady Buttons will chase him home. The Zambella, surely not got enough. If it goes there, it's surely not got enough experience to beat these ones. You know? So Silver Streak to me, just it's one of those annoying almost horses, you know.
He's not quite grade one, is he?
No, so I think it will be Buveur D'air. People kind of knocked him a bit last year. I don't think he was that bad at all. When he got beat at Aintree, he wasn't again. The ground would have gone against him, but he was running an all right race.
Yeah.
Until the very end, and then obviously he came back at Punchestown. Everyone was going, "Oh my God, he's back." But I didn't really think he was away. There was some other good ones coming up around him. So
yeah, absolutely.
Eight going on 9, so he should win this easy. But I think Lady Buttons will chase him home. She is. She's a tough. If it came down between her and Silver Streak at the end, and you know which one you'd want to be on. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Philip Kirby did say something earlier today that because of the ground at Newcastle at the minute, he might make a late decision. She might be switched to Newbury for a chase race, so he's going to leave that one to the last minute, I think. But you're right with Silver Streak. Unfortunately, he's going to be a nearly horse. He's not a grade 1 horse, but they might as well run him in these races. There's nowhere else really to go with him. So I can imagine he'll run.
And he'll get one. He'll maybe not a grade 1, but he will bag a couple. He will get because he's always a there or thereabouts. But he's just
and he won at Kempton on reappearance this season, so I can imagine he'll definitely go in at the Christmas hurdle and have a crack at Buveur D'air. I think Nicky Henderson said that Fusel Raffles will go at the Christmas hurdle as well, so that's going to be an absolute stonker. On to we've got to do Newbury. So there's so much good racing at Ireland. We'll hammer through Newbury, not quickly. We won't rush it because obviously it's a decent meeting. But then there'll be a couple of days worth of decent stuff at Fairy House. I think there's a couple of races I'm really keen on the Saturday, but the Sunday with all the grade 1s, it just looks class.
Yeah.
Well, I think the best place to start for Newbury, it's got to be the Ladbroke Trophy. So I have put some sort of trends and a little short-term anti-post piece up on there. This is a race every single year I try and get stuck into. Right at the back end of March, once I've seen the novices, seeing what they're doing and try and earmark a horse for it. But I'm going to leave the floor to you, mate, because I know that you quite like your stats, trends, stuff like that. So fingers crossed, you've picked us the winner.
Well, I've got my trends. So it's just general trends, the strongest ones. I like to get them down. So the 4 I've got my trends down. I saw you put up a short list earlier, a couple in, but I've got... the ones I'm left with is Mr. Malarkey.
Yep.
On the blind side.
Yep.
The Rasher Counter and Brave Eagle at 40-1.
Yes, see, I put Brave Eagle in as well.
That's not to say any of the 4 of them will win, but that's the 4 that I go out with friends. So
yeah, beauty.
And I say Brave Eagle is interesting because he's done everything right. His last 2 have been off. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he's carried top by the last 2 times. His second season chaser. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's for me. And the price is obscene. Absolutely obscene.
But now listen, he was when I was doing this. He was actually I noticed he was 35-1. Whether it's just changed this bookie, but it's now saying 40-1 on bet, and I've just got it set up on best odds.
Yeah.
So I did have it. He was in the 35 earlier, apparently. So.
The funny thing as well with this horse is because I like one of the you would have probably picked up in your trend stuff as well is that course form's pretty crucial for this. Loads of horses that even runners, novices around Newbury, I swear they've got this earmarked in a couple of seasons down the line. But if you haven't got the chance to look at it, then the race that Brave Eagle won at Newbury a couple of Christmases ago, he came from an absolutely impossible position, and I was just so impressed with him then. Now that was in a handicap, and it was 130, I think he was rated, something like that. It was over hurdles. But if you want to have any idea, for the people that don't know maybe so much about Brave Eagle, if you go and watch him running that race, you can watch it on Sporting Life, log in with a Sky Bet account or something like that. He's just an absolute terrier of a horse, and that's what Nicky Henderson calls him. So he's the sort of horse that you can imagine, if he can hang on to him until the last couple of flights, he's not going to be giving it easy. I think he's a ridiculous price. I'd have him, well, I wouldn't have him a quarter of the odds. I wouldn't have him down to 10 to 1, but he should easily be half the price. He shouldn't be any bigger than 16 to 1, I wouldn't have thought. So I'm with you on that, mate.
Yeah, that's the one at a price. That's the flyer. I think he's had him. This has been the plan as well.
Yeah.
So basically, because where else did they go with him?
Yeah, now he's at that.
And maybe he's that perfect horse of sneaking. He may just be slipping in under the radar, you know.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you, and that's good that we've both sort of geared towards it with the trends as well. Because I did mention to you before we did this chat and started recording that, as I'm an analyst by trade, I know how to probably manipulate figures in my favour. Yeah. So fortunately, whenever I end up doing the trends for some races after I've had a long time to look at them, so something like this I've been looking at since last March, I'm always going to skew the trends a little bit in favour of the horses that I've backed. So yeah, I'm quite keen on Mr. Malarkey. His run at Ascot was disappointing. That's a massive concern for me. On the blind side, I like Nicky Henderson keeps saying that he's going to come back. He's going to come back. So you can see why he's been supported. And Durasha counter, when he won at Newbury, I think he held off Walt, who's another one that won, and he's a big price as well. But yeah, Durasha counter I think is interesting. It looks to be honest with you, it looks a pretty decent renewal, I think.
Yeah, I mean this is the ones, you know, you watch this. Who's the most likely to go and win a Gold Cup from this, or run well in a Gold Cup from this? There's none of that in here. I don't think. There's nothing really.
You wouldn't think. I think
nothing.
Elegant Escape, he ran quite well last year. I think he'll go on to the Welsh National, but he ran pretty well behind Ballyoptic as well. So he like mark wise, he's probably a bit high, but he's only a 7-year-old. You know, he's been around for quite a while. Yeah. And he did run in the Gold Cup, so he might potentially be one of those types of horses. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I like to look for a future Gold Cup winner. Yeah. I can't see it in here.
I mean, there's a lot of good horses, but there's nothing that you say, oh, keep an eye. I mean, they spoke about Brave Eagle. Which Gold Cup winners would have came from that route? You know, running. The Rasher counter.
Mr. Malarkey, I suppose, is only a 6-year-old. Yeah. So he might make into something better. What do you make of the Willie Mullins mare? Cabaret Queen was obviously with Dan Skelton. The owners moved it to Willie Mullins. Unsurprisingly, he goes and hacks up in a handicap over there, or she does. What do you think?
Not too much about it. That's what I'm saying. When this sort of thing happens, Mullins is absolutely flying at the minute.
He really,
you know what I mean? He can't do anything wrong.
Well, speaking of that, he's going to send Yorkhill over as well, apparently.
Yeah, I see that as well. I mean, when you look back at our form, there's nothing that we would.
No, it was just a run out of nowhere, wasn't it? I suppose it's the thing, like the Total Recall thing. She did that. The best part was I was listening to some Willie Mullins comments about the race, and he's confirmed that Paul Townend will come over to ride Cabaret Queen. He obviously wouldn't be that fussed about horses back at home on a Saturday, so that puts me off a couple of horses that we'll come on to, but we'll see what actually happens with the jockey bookings. But when they were talking about this Cabaret Queen to him, he said, it must have been a bit misty that day because I couldn't really remember what the silks were. I couldn't hear the commentary. The commentary was off. I just saw something was miles in front and I didn't expect it to be one of mine. So she's obviously one of them that's coming as quite a low profile horse in the yard. He's not that knowledgeable. That surprised him.
Take a pinch of salt with what comes with Willie Mullins, though.
Yeah,
he knows when he knows. She'd have to have improved a bit.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think I watched the race back a couple of times, and she's just so far clear. She never had to do anything. I wouldn't really know much about her tenacity and all those sort of things. But obviously, Mullins will have their sorted out for the race. There has been one mare that won it, I think, back in like 58 or something ridiculous like that. But for me, she's just way too short of the price. I couldn't be interested. He would have won it last year, of course, if Ken Boyd had got the ferry, wouldn't he?
Well.
Jesus. I think he would. I can't remember what he would have been.
Imagine
in 150 something.
But he would have been your one. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. We knew he was the one last year. Yeah, that's so. And there's nothing. There is no Ken Boy in here. There's no like Demons and whatnot. So there's nothing. Bob's worth. None of that stuff in here. So
no. So it should be
good. It's a good race, but yeah, it's not. It's not a classic renewal.
Yeah, I think it'll be a decent race though. But like
when Carruthers won it, you know, that sort of year. Yeah.
So obviously, Nicky Henderson and Paul Nicholls have been doing battle for most weekends, and that's how it will continue through Christmas. But the opening race on the Saturday is the Mares Novices Hurdle. So it's a listed hurdle. Silver Forever, Floressa. You might remember when they ran against each other at the Newbury meeting. Everyone was saying if Floressa hadn't made the mistake, she probably would have beaten Silver Forever. That's probably true. That means Floressa is going to get £3 because Silver Forever beat her. So there's nothing else really in the race that jumps out that I would think would particularly get involved. I'm probably being a bit ignorant because it is a mare's race and I don't know so much about some of the other ones, but that Floressa, it's another one that's opened up with the bookies. They've made it, I think Corals went 11-8 Silver Forever, 6-4 Floressa. I would have had, especially given on that Newbury performance, now getting £3, I would have made Floressa shorter than that. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'd have it the other way. I'd have them the other way, definitely.
Boom. So we've got a little nap there for the Saturday to kick off. So we've had 3 winners on Friday. We've started off with the winner in the opener at Newbury. We've then got a novices chase. So this is another grade 2. This is the one that's over further. So this is 2 miles, 7.5 furlongs. Champ, we're pretty sure is going to go for the Berkshire chase. Reserve Tank's got an entry in here, but I don't even know if he's going to run this weekend. Danny Whizbang was supposed to run at Exeter on Sunday, so he'd be the one that would probably draw me in here. But I think realistically, if Reserve Tank doesn't come here, we could be looking at a pretty weak grade 2, I think.
Skelton's good.
That ran well at Chepstow, didn't it? Was it Liz Nagar Oscar?
Sam Spinner. Well, he'd be linked.
That's it, yeah.
Linked to Garnet Oscar, and it was second to Sam Spinner when he'd got his act together, Sam Spinner. So
yeah. If the race falls apart a bit, he'd be one to definitely keep an eye, wouldn't he? Is that Danny Whizbang's one that I am interested in, though? I don't know how good he'll be straight off the bat this season, but he just looks like he just wants an absolute slog. So I don't know how far they've got him this season.
He's obviously got them bang on because you look what he did with what was that one they won the other day? Thomas Darby. Tommy Tucker.
Oh yeah, Master Tommy Tucker. Yeah.
Master Tommy Tucker, the first time in Yonks. Do you know what I mean? So he's got them ready. So
absolutely, yeah. So that'll be interesting. It might not be the strongest of races, but Reserve Tank does have the 2 entries over Friday, Saturday. I'm not even.
I'd like to see him out again. You know what I mean? Just to see him. He needs to practice. But you know what I mean? He could experience for him will be good in the long term. I think he's not there yet.
I think connections have said now that they really prefer spring ground for him, and I think the way that the ground's going to go this weekend, there's not too much rain forecast at Newbury, so I think it'll be good to soft at worst. So I would be interested in seeing him run, but I don't know. I can't imagine they'd want to give him a go up against Champ on the Friday. I don't think they'd want to go over 3 miles just yet either.
Yeah, and that's the problem because that one for him is very winnable, but it's do you know what I mean? Stepping him up and
that's it. So we've got a few more races coming up before we go back to the Ladbroke, which obviously already covered. There's the Peter O'Sullivan Memorial Handicap Chase. So this is a proper handicap chase in the fact that I've probably backed every single runner in the entries at some point. Nothing really jumping out for me in there, but I think there's probably a JP horse that's going to be fairly fancied, isn't there? Because Buveur D'air's in there fairly short.
They're all around the same, I
think Jerry's back. It might have been this weekend last year. I did my ones to watch earlier in the week, and then obviously I do my actual write-ups for the weekend. Jerry's back was on the ones to watch list. He wasn't actually in the write-ups, but it was this weekend last year. He ran at Bangor. He beat Mulcahy's Hill. He was 50-1. Absolutely revolting. We got 50-1.
That was 1st of December. Yeah, 1st of December.
So he obviously runs well this time of year. But he's now 145 rated. I don't know. I think he's a nice horse, so he could potentially be one that's interesting. Buveur D'air's around about the same marks interesting, but I think JP will have the answer in that
When you see the move, that's the one. When you see the move, the price, that's the one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then
the one is worth looking. I know it's top weight, whatnot, but that Calypso.
Yeah.
Since it's went to her, I don't know what she's done. Vanessa Williams has done to it, but God, he just keeps going. I was very impressed with him all last season, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah.
And top weight, but
one of my favourites is in there in Chantal Village. I think he would have won I can't remember which one it was, Kerry National or something like that. When he went over in Ireland and then Robbie Power smashed him into a fence at the last.
Kerry National, yeah, Kerry National.
So that he's a horse that I love, but this might be short enough for him. This will probably be a setup for something else. I think that's the last twice he's unseated now. Is there anything else in there?
No, I haven't had a massive look at it, but
just whatever.
What's the JP horse? And I do like Calypso could be on each way. You could have, especially if you're going to get 4 runners in it.
Absolutely, yeah. Sky will be doing some ridiculous offers on the each way.
Venetia William usually gets kicking about this time of year as well. So yeah,
absolutely. So there's the handicap hurdle, the race after. So this is a 2.5 miler. I haven't really given the handicaps too much attention, but this is one of the races where Downtown Getaway for Nicky Henderson's entered. I really do think whichever race he goes in, he's going to be pretty difficult to beat in a handicap. There's a few nice types in here, but I tend to find this time of year, you've got a couple of ways that the handicaps can go. It could be like Champ last year, where you've got a novice that's a good thing in a handicap, which could be Downtown Getaway, or you're looking at an older horse, or maybe like a second season novice hurdler that they're just trying to lay up for another race later on in the season. So Downtown Getaway would be the one I'm interested in if he came here, or even if he goes in the other race. But outside that, there's no one else that really interests me.
A Casualman.
Yeah.
And that's Henderson again, so they both go. But yeah, he
was one, the Casualman, because he ran on the flat, didn't he? Or he went back to run on the flat, and he was short price, or he was fancied in one of the races.
York. York, wasn't it? Yeah. In last season as well.
Yeah, and he didn't really do what he should have done there. Yeah. I think he ran at Goodwood as well, didn't he? And he was a bigger price, and he ran a bit better. But yeah, he's a nice enough horse. But
he's going to be fit anyway, isn't he? So
yeah. I tell you what, the one that would be worth,
maybe.
The one, that Prince of Licao, that Fergal O'Brien. It's frustrating me how many wins he's banging out, because I've backed a couple of his over the last couple of weeks, and everyone that I've backed
the same, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's one. That's Noel Fearley's that Pride of Licao. He's obviously got with a racing club, got a few things going, and that one really nicely on debut. So you'd think the connections and all those sort of things. Paddy Brennan's already been jocked up, so he'd be strongly fancied in there, I guess. We've got another handicap hurdle after this. This is the listed race. This goes back down to 2 miles. I'm going to be talking about JP again in this, and Nicky Henderson again, because Epitante was absolute trash in the Mayor's Novice hurdle at Cheltenham, weren't she? But she's got to be better than that. Maybe it was just the track.
Occasion. Do you know what I mean? If you look where she'd been running before, so it has to be hard, doesn't it? So let's move on.
Christopher Wood with Paul Nicholls is interesting because he was quite highly touted as a juvenile last season. Ran quite well in a couple of races, and then was found out in better company. He's been pretty pants this season, so I just wonder whether they're trying to get his mark down a bit further. But he's definitely something that's fairly capable. It just depends at this point, because there's quite a few entries for quite a few yards, isn't there? It just depends who's going to run. And at the price, something like Epitante that's 9-2 now, I wouldn't want to be getting involved at the risk.
I'm just looking through as well. There's, you've got what's that one? Scarlet Dragon, things like that. Do you know what I mean? You've got plenty of known names. But she going into Cheltenham, you know what I mean? She was everyone had latched onto her going into Cheltenham, and for whatever reason it didn't work out. So looking at the field sizes, by far the biggest field size she was in. Then maybe the ground. But
I honestly just don't know what it was at Cheltenham, because I was obviously I'm there for it, and I like to pay attention to what the horses are doing in the prelims. And you wouldn't think there was any problem with her at all. So I really don't know what it was, but obviously the don't want to say the word too many times in the previews, because I think I mentioned it last week as well, but the whole flu gate that happened last year, Henderson had a few horses that were caught up in there. She did run after that, I think, when she ran in February, when she was a short odds-on favourite, and I forgave her their performance then. She looked like pretty good then, but you could, I don't know, I still was expecting a little bit more. But
she was better than where she finished. She was even if there was issues, she was better than where she finished at Cheltenham.
And she got dropped £6 for that as well. So that's the best part of the mare's allowance, isn't it? In terms of running in a handicap. So they run her in a hood that day as well. I'll be surprised if they kept that on, because obviously she's running a hood, switched her off too much maybe in there. But she'd be the one I'd be interested in that race. We've obviously done the Ladbroke Trophy. The last race, the Ladbroke Handicap Chase on the Saturday. This is the race where Lady Buttons, I think, might divert to.
So are they just on the ground, is it? Yeah.
I think so, yeah, because I think it's heavy at Newcastle at the moment. There's a bit more rain forecast up there, and I just think she's a decent, she's gutsy mare, but she's not going to beat Buveur D'air, is she? So you might as well stick her in this, and she's got a chance.
Yeah.
But it's another race. It's a proper good handicap, because again, there's so many familiar names that'll be in there. I'll have a token bet on Theo because it's the boy's name, but outside that, I'd probably be ducking off at Newbury for this to get out of the car park quicker, if I'm honest.
Yeah, there's not. Having a quick look through it now. There's nothing.
I suppose I don't think he'll run, but Knock Nanas that ran at Ascot last week was quietly fancied to run at Cheltenham. He ran okay, but then that was behind St Calvados the month before. But then he was going to run in the Bet Victor Gold Cup, I think, and then he didn't run. I don't know why he was withdrawn. It might have been the fact that the ground obviously got so bad again. They ran him at Ascot last week, but I think all his best performances have come when he's gone left-handed. So I don't think he will run, because it's too short a break. But if they did declare him in this, I'd be interested to think maybe did they send him to Ascot just for a spin for the sake of it.
You've got not just under him in the bet and Croco Bay, but he's 12 now. But
he's old enough to smoke, isn't he?
He does. Yeah, I just still think, and Double W's was quite interested in for a while last year as well. Double W's. Stable's they're running all right with Jefferson, so
it's a tricky one. It just looks like a nice typical handicap.
I mean, Lady Buttons goes there. Lady Buttons wins. But if she doesn't go there, who do you know what I mean? Bundoran, he'd be top weight. So yeah, it's a tricky
one, isn't it? And it's nice because I always look at the entries well in advance, but there'll be like a handful of horses that I'll keep looking at, and I'll be semi-interested in getting back in like short-term anti-post, even though it's the worst betting medium, because it's suicide. They can be on. You might not even get value. All those sorts.
I never get involved in that, Tom. Never. Cheltenham. My anti-post would be Cheltenham. I'm going to bet on the Monday for the Friday.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll 45 minutes in, so we're going to get scooching now. Yeah, the Saturday at Fairy House. So there's a few that I'm interested running on the Saturday. The first one that I really, really cannot wait to see run is Carefully Selected in the Beginner's Chase. I seriously think this is an RSA horse. I think the fact that Paul Townend's probably going to go to Newbury to ride on the mare, it wouldn't completely put me off, but I'd prefer Paul Townend to be on Carefully Selected. But we'll see if he finally gets declared. But he's one that I'm really interested in. You quite often get winners of this particular race on the Saturday, at Fairy House, taking on whoever wins the Drinmore. So I think last year this was won by Mortal. He took on Delta Work in the one at Leopardstown at Christmas, the Neville's or the Savills Novices Chase, I think something like that. The Neville Hotels Novices Chase, one of them. Yeah. So they tend to take each other on. So although Carefully Selected in here and not in a Drinmore, you can still get classy types in here. Brace yourself for Noel Mead, looks quite good. As Eurobot was quite good again for Noel Mead last season when he won his first race after a point, but I wouldn't expect him to be as good as something like Carefully Selected. But again, we're not 100% sure who's going to run, so you'd need to wait until nearer the time for that. There's a couple of handicaps which I wouldn't be interested in the slightest. But what was the other one we liked? Oh yeah, January Jets. So that one got a mention last week as well. That's a ex-winning pointer. It fell in its point before that. the horse that it beat by 10 lengths and its points come out and won since. It looks like a really nice horse. So it was entered in a bumper last week, and it didn't run in that. So now they've got it entered up for a hurdle. You'd like to think it might be forward enough to run quite well. You raised me ups in there as well, so that potentially could be boosted a bit of 6-shooter form, which I'm going to keep clinging on to, even though he got beat the other day. And then it was the bumper, I think. Yeah, Egality Man's for Willie Mullins is a bumper horse in there. There's another one he's got, Embaton. Embaton's got a lengthy layoff to contend with, so we'll have to see how he gets on with things. But Jungle Boogie's in there for Willie Mullins. He's got 3, so any one of those 3 could potentially run. The big thing with the bumper on the Friday or the Saturday there is it's a decent one, but you have got this bumper on the Sunday, and that's the bumper that Envoi Allen won last year. I think Get a Bird's won it before. There's loads of like decent horses that have won.
That's the best of the 2. Yeah.
So I mean, I've obviously quickly gone through the Saturday stuff. Was there anything that stuck out to you that I haven't given a nod to?
I never even really looked at the Saturday. Just went straight to the big.
Boom. Well, I'm happy to do that as well. Let's move on to the Sunday. So there obviously is a bit of British racing, but we'll smash out Fairy House. We'll try and get this done so we stay under the hour. So we've got 10 minutes to squeeze through this, which should be plenty. So there's the juvenile hurdle, the Grade 3, the opening race. There's a couple of Joseph O'Brien horses here that look interesting, but I always find with the juvenile races, I just don't know how good they are this time of the season. So you can't have anything in terms of a strong opinion, I wouldn't have thought. You got anything in there that you'd have an eye on?
No.
Boom. So the Royal Bond, Envoi Allen, he's going to hack up.
Yeah, I think there's 2 in here at the minute. I really like that Abracadabra. Whether he goes there or not. I really like him, but he might be one for farther for the future. This Envoi Allen, Envoi Allen. He's the one to be on now. He's just what you want, isn't he?
He's comes so in, fast.
Gets it done. Yeah, just gets it done, and off he goes.
And the thing is, if you go through all of the entries in it, like this is one of the deepest Royal Bonds I can remember at this particular stage. There's a few horses that haven't got official ratings in here, but everything would be in excess of 140 rated in here. And considering that novice hurdlers at the end of the season probably finish in the mid 150s, this is a serious crop of runners we've got in here. So Soviet Pimpernel killed me at Cheltenham when it just got beat by Kelderstown because we were on it at a big price. But he's a nice horse. He shouldn't be up to this, but he does get a few pounds from Envoi Allen. But Midnight Run would be interesting if he came in here. I think he's a horse that will go over further, but he looks decent. But I mean, realistically, we just want to see Envoi Allen bolt up, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, the race will probably fall apart a bit. Do you know what I mean? But I can't see him getting beat.
No, I agree. And then,
I don't think Abracadabra. Think that will go. I'm not even sure if that will go.
I'm under the impression that they were both going to run. So he was in the Monksfield on Sunday. So when he was entered for that, I thought, oh no, he'll go there. Yeah. But that's a race that Gigginstown just like to win. And I think when they saw the final decks, they knew they had it covered with Fury Road anyway. So I've got a feeling that he might well run in here, to be honest. You get quite a few horses that do come second and third in this race that go on to turn into quite nice types anyway. So I wouldn't be worried if a horse does get beaten here. But I reckon they'll both go, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I have him quite. As I say, I think he's one for the future. He could well kick on, and this one's Envoi Allen's very much now here now. Bang, enjoy it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was looking.
And it's good to see Paisley Park getting more involved as well now. That's brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, they've had the setback with Malone Road this year, which is obviously a bit gutting for them. But it was funny because they sold Radichin, didn't they? Before he went and ran in the Triumph, and then that was when they were sort of getting out of the national rank game. Then they bought him back because they wanted to get back involved in it. He obviously didn't scale the heights that he should have done, but they've done very well getting Envoi Allen. I was looking at some of the stats frenzy thing for the Royal Bond because it's one of those races that there's so many decent horses that have won this. It's a ridiculous list. There's things like Nichols Canyon obviously won a stairs hurdle, Dunguib in there, the old drug testing Dunguib. Hurricane Fly, Jet Ski, Hardy Eustace, Like a Butterfly, Moscow Flyer, Istabrack. It's ridiculous. But the
whoever comes out this will go to Cheltenham. Probably the favourite.
Yep. And there's a race after this as well, the Deloitte, that tends to be a bit. Like, this is a bit of a feeder race for that, where horses will go and run in this, and then they'll probably go and run in the Deloitte, which is the 2 mile 2 race. So there's quite a few horses in here. When I was looking at it, there's been one horse that's won this, and then went and won the Supreme. So that's only happened once out of the winners that were in here. Just trying to give people a view, because I know everyone's having an eye on where Envoi Allen's going to go. But we've had a couple of horses that have run in this, and then they've gone on and won the Ballymore. There's 2 horses that are running in this, that have run in this, Dunguib and Alexander Banquet, that won the Champion Bumper as well. So they obviously came into this. I just think it's a classy race. The only slight, tiny negative thing is Gordon Elliott's only ever won it once, and he's had quite a few runners in here. But normally you're looking at Willie Mullins to have the answer in this. And I think when you look at the entries, he's got Fast Buck and Foveros. Neither of them look like they should be up to doing anything in here. So, yeah, just enjoy Envoi Allen. I think he's going to be an absolute airplane. But the thing is as well, that looks like a really, really, really decent novices hurdle. So if he does go win that convincingly, then it's time just to stick all the money on him for the festival, isn't it?
Well, it'll be interesting to see, how, as I say, for the future, how close Abracadabra.
Absolutely, and that's
near the end of the race,
because he looks really good, and he was close in behind Envoi Allen when I think it was his first bumper, maybe when he ran out, and then he ran well at Cheltenham, all those sorts of things.
Yeah,
that will be the interesting thing, because if they finish close up now, then we know that he's like the.
We know where we stand with this too. Like,
if Envoi Allen spanks him by 7-10 lengths or whatever, then we know that it is a serious horse. So I can't wait for that. But then straight after, we've got the Drinmore. Now, I always like the Drinmore because there's always just so many horses early in the season that you can sort of earmark for it. Didn't do too much to do with trends and stats on this because I got bored after looking at the early list. And I'm pretty sure Don Cossack's the only festival winner to come out of this. Delta Work.
Is that real, or is that my November meeting start about Cheltenham as well?
Oh yeah.
Is this one of these?
well, Delta Work won this last year. Deaf Duty won it the year before. Coney Island, No More Heroes, Valsalido. Then it was Don Cossack. But yeah, there's some nice horses winning it, but maybe it's a race that I get maybe a bit too excited. The main thing with this is Samcro's definitely going to run. That was Gordon Elliott's word a little while ago. He said he's going to run 2 in the race. So he's got Tintangle in there. She's entered up in a mare's chase over in England, so she might go over there. Champagne Classic, I don't think he'll run. And then there's Battle Over Doyen in there as well. But you'd like to think they'd want to keep them 2 apart. Willie Mullins is interesting. But Burrow Saint was pants this season, his last run, but he looked like he was going to be okay. Chef de Zobo's gone from Nicky Henderson over to Willie Mullins, so the change of stable could be interesting. And Ronald Pump was quite impressive for Matthew Smith. So with respect to the trainer, you'd like to think there'll be something better in here. Obviously, Fakir Doudry, he has to run in here because he still gets the 4-year-old allowance, so he'll be getting £8 from everything else. He was so good when he beat Mellon. Looks like he wants to step up in trip. So I'd like to think that Samcro's back and Samcro's going to win this, but I would be seriously worried about Fakir Doudry if he ran as well.
Fakir Doudry beats him, Samcro goes on and wins at Cheltenham. Keeps the trends going, isn't it? And then we know he's only been beat by the weight. No, but he was very good the other day when he Samcro. He is back. And a lot of folk will say that's what she did last season. I think they just really want a champion hurdle, and they gunned. He should have went chasing last season. Yeah,
I mean, if anything, tested in disguise really, because of the fact that he had the lung infection.
Yeah,
he probably still would have lost his novice status last year because he's just that good. He would have picked up a race, but they wouldn't have been able to run him at the festival, and they'd have lost that whole novice season. So I reckon it's a blessing.
I mean, he was only Buveur. There's a lot in it, but Buveur D'air beat him at Newcastle, so it wasn't like he was getting beat by. He wasn't getting beaten up by bags of shit. Do you know what I mean? So he was obviously he would have lost his novice last season, definitely.
Yeah, over fences, definitely.
So that's all that happened last year. Yeah. So yeah.
It'd just be interesting if Battle Over Doyen comes in here as well. But yeah, it's one of them that it is a really nice race. It was just the fact that I was looking at the winners in there, and you start to think maybe you're better off getting beat because Raf Vinden came second, obviously went and won a 4-miler. I mean, I'd have to go back even further to find some other ones in there, but yeah, it's a grade one anyway, and it looks like a decent renewal. I think
that's a decent weight allowance. That. So,
it is, isn't it?
You know, I mean, honestly, he wins it, and then we have it off in Samcro at Cheltenham. So
I reckon that's the way to do it because I don't know if they put the betting up on this race yet. I'll have a look actually because that's normally.
I've got Samcro. I've got 6-5, 9-4. Faka do that day.
Oh, yeah, I was hoping for a bit more than that. I'm greedy.
So 6-5, 9-4. Battle over Doyan is 8-1. He's fourth in.
Oh yeah.
Still Champagne Classic's the same. So you don't know which one of those will go.
Market's probably got it about right then, haven't they? I wouldn't want to be getting stuck in on Fakir Doodleries at that sort of price. But we've only got a couple of bookies up, so maybe they'll be generous. But you can see, well, you might even see Fakir Doodlery go off favourite, I suspect, because there's so many people that were hating Samcro. So we've had 2 really decent races there, novices for hurdles and chases respectively. But then we've got the Hattie race. Jeez. The best thing about this race...
You're getting a price in Apple's Gate here, 4-1.
Oh no, it's obscene. The best thing about this race is we've got... It just shows the level that we've got the racing mares are at these days. I'm the worst for it. I knock mares left, right and centre. Don't give them the respect they probably deserve. But we've got Benny Deju, Honeysuckle, Apples Jade, first 3 in the betting for this. All mares. Probably all first 3 in the betting for the mares hurdle at Cheltenham. I think Penhill's going to run in here from what Willie Mullins was saying, but he's got the long layoff to come back from. Bacardis is staying over hurdle, so I don't know whether he'll run or not as well, but he'd be interesting. But what do you think about Honeysuckle?
I'm kind of stuck because Benny Deju, do you know what I mean? If she'd have stood up at Cheltenham, do you know what I mean? It's that thing, and she is. I like Honeysuckle, but I really like Benny Deju. And I love Apples Jade.
Yeah.
This Honeysuckle's, you know, I mean,
she looked good, hasn't she?
But the other, Apples Jade's been there and done it and has beat proper. Do you know what I mean? When you look at what she's beat, she's not been in as deep as the other 2. If you know what I mean, would you agree with that? Or
yeah, the thing is, it's just because last year she beat Super Sunday, she beat Nichols Canyon the year before, and she beat Vroom Vroom before that. But the last couple of times she's won it by miles. Apples Jade, didn't she?
And that's what I'm saying. It's not been against the type that what Apples Jade's been in amongst, and but she get it a bit easy and then come into again. It's a confidence boost definitely, but then she comes in against these hardened ones that are, you know.
It's hard, and the thing is, I was disappointed with her the last day because they've talked loads about having problems in the spring, keeping her in season, all those sort of stuff. She ran off the same weight as Bacardis that day because that was a grade 2, so she will be getting £7 from Bacardis. She got beaten 9.5 lengths, so if you use that as the normal literal a length a pound sort of thing, she hasn't really got that much to find to improve, has she? She's obviously won this race 3 times before. Yeah. I think Honeysuckle's good, but I don't think she's ready for this. I think Benny Deju would win this because I love Benny Deju, but I don't even know if she'll run because Willie Mullins has obviously got Bacardis and Penn who ended up, and Benny Deju's always been fairly lightly raced. I don't know. I really don't know how I'd call this. I think the logic
Surin
wins it.
What's Surin doing? Is that will that go here?
I don't know for definite, but that's one that again gets 4-year-old allowance, doesn't it? So
yeah.
And that one, was it the Limestone lads?
It was the Fishery Lane hurdle. Yeah,
Fishery Lane hurdle, and that
won it well, didn't it?
Yeah, she was really impressive. So I guess for Gigginstown, they'll probably be happy to stick a couple in there, won't they? Apples Jade will definitely go. Yeah,
some price, but she's 16 to 1. He's 16 to 1 at the minute, Surin. So I mean that's a big. So they're all. I don't think he'll go then.
It's a class looking renewal though, isn't it? So I honestly, it's not one that I would be slightly interested in betting in at all.
Because as you say, you've got Benny Deju, but if Apples Jade is back,
4-1.
But the problem is, can you? I'm saying it's horrible saying this, but yeah, can you trust her? Because yes, she did this 2 seasons ago. Maybe she went off the boil at this time of year again, and she's come back, but she's gone off the boil, and then she should be beating Bacardi that last day.
The thing is, like I say, she was on level weight, so she's £7 better off this time. She should have beaten him, but
that wasn't what cost her the level weight. She was just.
Oh yeah, she was crap.
She didn't look herself.
But the thing is, she was 1-4 to beat Bacardis, and she's 4-1 here, and Bacardis is 5-1. So from like a perspective value thing, the only horse you probably could bet in here would be Apple's Jade at 4-1.
We know she's going. As you said, Benny.
How can you back her off the back of that last race? I think it's one of them. You've just got to sit back and watch it, and hope that it's a decent race. I couldn't back.
If she wins this, she'll never get 4-1 again.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
So this is like even Denman won the Ladbroke, the Hennessy.
Oh Jesus!
Was allowed to go for 8-1. This is
that
again.
I reckon you're going to lure me in. I'm probably going to have to get a little bit on Apple's Jade for. The thing is, you are right. It's one of them. You don't. Just for the sake of saying it, if you have a quid on at 4-1 just to say you back to 4, you can't leave her at the price. I think
only 7 going in. She's not finished.
Exactly, yeah.
It was just.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it's one of them. I think anyone that would look at this race would probably say the same thing. That there's a few in here that probably you wouldn't be surprised if they did win it. If Benny Deju lines up, Benny Deju should be winning this. I'm going to throw one little angle at this
Apple's Jade as well, right? Because I've just noticed it, I think. Right, so I'll throw it in this eye. I'm not slagging this guy off at all because I think he's one of the best around. Robbie Power. That was the first time Robbie Power had ridden her. Maybe they just didn't. Maybe just in a clip. Maybe not. Maybe it had nothing to do with it. But it's the first time he's ridden her.
Yeah, I'm game. I reckon.
But enough there to make you think she could come back. Yeah.
Especially at 4-1 is just stupid, isn't it? But it's a cracking race anyway. The Hatton's Grace. It's one obviously. Apple's Jade's won it those 3 times, but when you go back even further back in there is Limestone Lad that I mentioned about the hurdle race, even that wasn't it. Istabrax won it a couple of times. Sonorina won it 3 times on the spin. Brave Incas won it. Hurricane Flies won it. So it isn't a Mickey Mouse race. It's always a decent renewal. Even if some horses might need the run in the race, you know for a fact in here that Apple's Jade's already had the run. Bacardis has already had the run. Benny Deju goes well enough fresh, but Honeysuckle's had a run. I mean, Benny Deju obviously won over in France, so she technically had a bit of a run this season. It's not the longest break she's coming back from, so
she was going to be first about Cheltmental. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and that's the thing. I'd personally like to see Benny Deju absolutely hack up in this, but you know what? I reckon we've talked ourselves into that one. I think Apple's Jade.
I think as I said, there was enough the last day to make you think that. You know what I mean? You can't write her off. Yeah, if she's bad this time, that's it. I wash my hands of her. But,
I agree. Right, so we've done the 3 big races in terms of graded status, but obviously the bumper at Fairy House on Sunday.
The big one.
Some serious names in there. So I could talk all day about a handful of horses here, so I'll let you go first on this one, Alan. Is there anyone that jumps out at you?
Not really, not at all. I'm having a look. I mean, now quite a few point winners, but I like a point winner going over hurdles. These aren't going over hurdles, are they? So, there's nothing. Whatever Willie Mullins has got is fancied. So.
Yes. So Envoi Allen won the race last year. There's been some other big names that have won this race.
I think they've got one. They've got one in it. Fernie Hollow. The Cheeky Park's got one in it.
You've done it. You've completed it. Fernie Hollow is going to win the champion bumper this year.
You think? Yeah.
100%. There's no doubt in my mind. It's the best 25-1 shot you'll ever get in your life. There's lots of reports coming in from the yard that it's very, very smart. The interesting thing for me in here, there's like 5 or 6 horses that I'll be really excited to see in a bumper. But I just pray that Fernie Hollow and Wide Receiver both run, because Wide Receiver was a big money point purchase. Ran really well, was an emphatic winner there. And everyone's touting that for a bumper winner or the champion bumper winner. But I'd have this Fernie Hollow a fair bit ahead of that one on their point runs. It beat a horse called Bloodstone by 15 lengths. It was the intermediate trip at a point, so most points are over 3 miles. But it just looks like an absolute Aeroplane, and it's with Willie Mullins, and it's in a bumper.
Yeah.
So that's enough.
Right. So we'll back that.
Wide receiver is an interesting one. It's another one that ran an intermediate trip in points. It was 2.5. It won his 1 by 8 lengths. Now, if you go by Racing Post ratings, which can be pretty naff for point-to-point races, they're both rated 93 on their events. So, according to the Racing Post, they're just as good as each other. It's going to be really interesting if the two of them do clash, because there's almost like a 50-50 split on the people that are talking about the bumpers. Half the people really rate this wide receiver, half the people really rate this Fernie Hollow. So as long as the pair both run, it wouldn't particularly be a race that I'd want to be backing in, but it's a race I'd love to be seeing, because if they both ran and one of them won even by a couple of lengths, then we could be talking about a serious horse. As I touched on, Envoi Allen running it last year, so I'm not guaranteeing we'll get another one of them, but this is typically a bumper where the trainers will stick some of their better horses in. And obviously they've got a line in for the Christmas festivals. There'll be bumpers there they want to win as well, but I'm really, really excited about Fernie Hollow.
You've got the winning connection. You've got the winning owners, but with a different trainer, and the trainer with a different owner. So
it's good, isn't it?
No, you can't just say if that was the same team there, you would go right Fernie Hollow all day. But if you're saying they're both, that's 50-50.
They've done it, and that's it. They're both supposed to be really good. So that's the sort of thing as well that would be really interesting. If they both do line up, the bookies will probably make them around about the same sort of price. They'll probably actually make Fernie Hollow second favourite. The markets will move overnight. Then the markets will drift again. We won't know what's going on with any of it until they actually race against each other. But it'll just be a cracker.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a decent end to decent days racing on the Sunday. We've obviously gone through Newbury there. We've picked up so many winners on the Friday that everyone's minted.
We're done. Jack the job in on Monday. Huh?
That's it. But it's just a really decent weekend for racing. As you were saying, it ramps up now. We've got Tingle Creek weekend next weekend. The Betcher Chase is on as well. There's some decent racing over in Ireland. Then we've got back to Cheltenham again the weekend after that.
We'll have a Cheltenham competition, fantasy Cheltenham competition for that one.
Yes.
So,
and then we'll be getting up really close to Christmas. So during that period, there's 5 days meetings in 2 meetings at Ireland after Christmas. There's obviously Kempton, Boxing Day, all that sort of stuff. Welsh National comes in there as well. So is that when you run your Christmas comp?
Yeah, I'll be doing a Christmas competition through all that. That'll open up probably on Christmas Eve or whatever, and it'll just run through. I'll start on Boxing Day at Kempton, and it'll cover all the big races as well. So, I was just about to say, isn't it funny how it was only a few years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, we were saying, the season, this is the weekend that the season really kicks in, Hennessy Weekend. But really, it goes back week. This is like the 4th week of action. Way back, the old Rowan Chase, whatnot. We are, and this is what it's all about. This is the proper racing. We're getting going now, and I love it. And it just keeps going. As I say, every weekend there's something. You've just named it there, Tingle Creek. Every weekend there's something comes up. Cheltenham again, and it's nice to have a breather at the end of February, isn't it? Just have a breather before the festival, but I love it.
And that's it, yeah. So when it gets up to the Dublin Racing Festival, that's like the first chance after that it's slightly calmed down a little bit, in it, because we'll have there's the Adonis, there's the Dovecote at Kempton, but they're sort of last chance saloons that they're
Denman Chase as well, I think, isn't it? The Denman Chase and things like that. But but that's why I always say when the Dublin Festival's done, you get onto the trends, start doing the trends, because everything's happened by then. So then
absolutely,
you can that's when my anti-post starts.
Yeah, and that's the best time to do it, to be honest, because lots of bookies have gone no one and no bet by then. It's nice as well because, like you say, the action comes so thick and fast this time of year, and we'll see the trainers that they know what they're doing, so they're around this time of year because there's so much good racing. For every one really, really good race, there's a maiden or a novice hurdle going under the radar somewhere where Willie Mullins can slope in his horses that he's got sort of half-baked.
What was that one that won the other day?
Unaccepted.
Yeah.
Aeroplane, isn't it? But it's Willie
was
Mullins.
Unexpected.
That's it. It's just because Willie Mullins, Gordon Elliott will do it as well. Joseph O'Brien will do it to a lesser extent. They'll find a cheap, weak little beginner's chase or a novice chase or a novice hurdle or a maiden hurdle they can stick these horses in. And sometimes they're visually impressive, but you poo-poo it because there's nothing in behind. But when they get to January time or even around Christmas, that's when they've got to be running in the graded company, and that's when it all sort of comes on top, doesn't it? So I'll be doing these every week now, building up to Christmas, and then everyone will be sick of me by the time we get into the new year. But I'll keep doing it. So it'd be good to have you on again if you're happy to do one, mate.
Yeah, whenever you want, mate. I'm happy. I quite enjoyed. I don't have any racing mates up here, so it's the same to go. It's good to have something to talk to about horse racing. So I'm happy to do it. I'll do it whenever you want.
I reckon what we'll do for the Christmas one, because obviously there'll be shed loads of racing in there. I'm going to try and get a few people involved in on that. So we'll maybe try and get 4 of us in. I think hopefully Jamie will come back on as well. So we've got the Irish angle in there as well. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, mate. It's been
no worries.
Really good to hear your opinion on all this sort of stuff. You've given us so many winners. You've made me back Apple's Jade at a price as well. So I reckon we're on for a good weekend, mate.
Yeah, it would be a good weekend even if we don't have a winner. It's quality racing. Quality racing.
And that's it. Well, it is really, because it is the sort of racing where you can sit back and just enjoy what's going on. I know obviously most people
get the notepads out and start getting things. Get your Road to Cheltenham notepad out from Hacked Up Horse Racing and this is it. This is the Road to Cheltenham. We're on it. We're on it now. So
absolutely. Are you doing? There'll be a competition this weekend, won't there, for the Super Stable?
Yeah. I'll open on Friday at about 4 o'clock. I'll get home at 2 o'clock.
I'll be at Newbury, so when I get back home from Newbury on the Friday, I'll share something about that evening.
That's why I like it. That's why I like it. So.
Boom.
Right. Well, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend, and then good luck, everyone. Hope you be winners and superstable.co.uk.